Welcome back to Module 7. Now we're nearing the end of our blueprint, but we have to talk about what it's likely the largest asset on your balance sheet. And honestly, it's the one asset most retirees are afraid to touch, your home. For generations, the American dream had a specific finish line. You pay off the mortgage, you burn the deed, and you live rent-free until you pass the house on to your kids. That was the gold standard of success. But what I want you to consider a different perspective. In the retirement income equation, I talk about the concept of dead money. If you have $500,000 or $1 million sitting in your home equity, that's money is doing nothing for you. It isn't generating income. It isn't hedging against inflation. It's just sitting in the drywall and the floorboards. Meanwhile, your investment portfolio is out there in the stock market fighting for its life against volatility and withdrawals. Tom Hegney lists the use home equity wisely as step 7 of a secure retirement for a reason. He argues that ignoring this massive asset is inefficient planning. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out and bet the farm, but I am suggesting we look at your home as a lifeboat. Imagine the stock market crashes 30% next year. If you have to sell your stocks to pay your bills, you lock in those losses forever. You ruin your plan. But what if you didn't have to sell? What if instead you could temporarily switch off your portfolio withdrawals and live on tax-free equity from your home until the market recovered? That's the power of a modern reverse mortgage or a strategic home equity plan. It's not a last resort for the desperate. It's a sophisticated buffer for the wealthy. In this module, we're going to put aside the stigmas and look at the math. Whether it's downsizing, right-sizing, or utilizing a line of credit, we're going to unlock the wealth you're literally sleeping in. Let's look at all your options. Welcome to Module 7. Up to this point in the stress-free retirement blueprint, we've covered income, growth, and health. Now we're going to look at what's likely your largest asset, your home. For generations, the goal was to pay off the mortgage, then sit on the equity until you pass it to the kids. But as we discussed in the retirement income equation, my book, that might be an old strategy for a new world. Your home equity shouldn't just sit idle. It can be a powerful tool to provide and fund long-term care, provide for tax-free income, or most importantly, act as a lifeboat to save your portfolio when the stock market crashes. There are 3 main ways to deploy this asset. Now, the first of which is downsizing. It's selling the big family home, buying something smaller or cheaper, or even in some cases renting, and investing the difference. It simplifies life and unlocks capital. Now, number 2 is traditional loans or HELOCs, home equity loans, borrowing against the house. Well, the catch, you have to make monthly payments. This works well if you have strong cash flow and want to buy a specific asset like a hybrid long-term care policy. Now, option number 3 is a reverse mortgage, and the most misunderstood of all the tools. It allows you to access equity without being required to make monthly payments. It's not a last resort, it's a strategic buffer. So let's talk about strategy 1, downsizing, or what we also call right-sizing. Do you need that 4-bedroom for 2 people? Or do you just need a single-level living space to age in place? By selling, you eliminate maintenance costs and property taxes on unused space. You take the tax-free capital gain, which for a couple is up to $500,000, and you dump it right into your growth pool or essential pool to generate income. Now, strategy number 2, funding care with your equity. If you want to stay in your home, but need to fund that health wildcard that we discussed in Module 6, home equity can be the answer. Some clients use a traditional home equity loan or HELOC to fund a lump sum asset-based long-term care policy. Yes, you have a loan payment, but you have instantly created a leverage of $300,000 to $400,000 of tax-free care coverage that protects your other assets. And finally, number 3, let's talk about reverse mortgages, or what they call HECMs, home equity conversion mortgages. Now, these had a bad reputation in the old days, but modern HECMs are highly regulated and safe. Here's the truth. You still own the home. You can live in it as long as you want to. You're just borrowing against it. The difference is you don't have to make a monthly mortgage payment as long as you live there. The interest just rolls onto the loan balance. You can also use these to eliminate an existing forward mortgage. So you can go and create a reverse mortgage, eliminate your mortgage payment, and have that be a reverse mortgage. This frees up cash flow immediately, but its real power lies in the lifeboat strategy. So let's talk about the lifeboat strategy. This is one of the most sophisticated uses of home equity. We set up a reverse mortgage line of credit before you need it. Most often, I do this with a client right as they're retiring. We set it up, we eliminate a mortgage payment if they have one to improve their cash flow, and then we set this up to provide a lifeboat for them. So imagine the market drops 20%, like we saw in 2002, 2003, or 2008 or 2022. It seems to happen about every 10 years or so. If you sell your stocks to pay bills, you're going to lock in the losses. Or even if you have to take your growth assets and use them to refund your discretionary pool, you're going to lock those losses in and you're going to kill your portfolio. Instead, you stop withdrawing from your portfolio, you switch to your lifeboat, the reverse mortgage line of credit, and you live on tax-free equity for 1 or 2 years while the market recovers. Once the market recovers, you go back to your portfolio. You can even pay back the line of credit if you want. This strategy can extend the life of your portfolio by years. All right, with this short chapter or this short module, your homework here is to do a little bit of reconnaissance on your home equity. So you're going to check your current home equity and subtract any mortgage debt. This is your net equity. Go to a site like Zillow. Typically, it'll underreport your current. You can also go to a realtor and they can run comparables for you. Ask yourself, is this equity dead money? Could it be working harder to protect me from health costs or market crashes? If you're over 62, and that's one of the requirements, consider getting a quote for a HECM line of credit just to see what your lifeboat capacity would be. You don't have to go through with it. And in fact, there's several steps that you have to do. You have to go through counseling and multiple steps that you have to do. So it's not something that can be just done online and get done with it. All right. Well, we're moving on to the final chapter, the final module, which is going to be a case study where we put all of this together now.